WandaVision is good, maybe? I still don't know, but it's definitely getting better. Far better than episode 1 and 2, that's for sure. In episode 3, it's finally starting to move the story along. This really does make it seem like the first two episodes were nothing more than a long, extended trailer. While episode 3 is a significant improvement, there's still some of that lingering stupidity, and the constant laugh track is still there, and it's still very annoying. I did discover that the show was recorded in front of a live audience, so at least some of that laughing is real, but it happens so frequently, I have to believe that they must have included extra laugh tracks as well. I mean, at one point, there was laughter because a doorbell rang. There was nothing else happening, it's just a doorbell that rang, and then there was laughter? Why? It didn't make any sense. So either they are including laugh tracks at just weird times, or they fed the audience something strange before they started recording.
Nice.
At the end of the second episode, reality had been changed from the black and white of the 50s and 60s into the color of the 70s. The style of the episode has also been changed to accommodate this, matching much more like something you would have found on a 70s TV show. I'm guessing that they're going to have at least one or two more episodes of the 70s before moving into the 80s and then the 90s and so on. It's not a terrible idea. I think it can definitely work, provided that they spend most of the time on the story instead of the stupid filler sitcom nonsense like they did with the first two episodes. I get it, it was funny for about a minute, but they dragged it out way too long.
Mistakes were made, and I will find out who's responsible.
Something else that bears mentioning that I didn't put in my previous video is that the acting in this show is really good. Paul Bettany does an absolutely amazing job as Vision, even with some of the bad dialogue that they give to him. Elizabeth Olsen also does very well, and so does the rest of the supporting cast. The only actor that stands out as just being awful is the actress that's playing Geraldine. Even in the exaggerated sitcom situation, her acting was just cringe, and it was painful to watch.
It doesn't take a great actor to recognize a bad one.
As a side note, this actress and her character will also have a starring role in the upcoming movie Captain Marvel 2, which I'm sure will be nothing short of both stunning and brave. But let's take a look at episode 3. It begins with Wanda getting a checkup about her pregnancy. The doctor says that she's about 4 months in, and Wanda seems to be taking it as totally normal. Vision, on the other hand, is concerned and seems to be the only one that recognizes the strangeness of the situation. Outside, Vision also notices that the neighbor is acting very strange. While trimming the hedges, the neighbor cuts into the wall but doesn't even seem to notice at all. The neighbor is acting like part of a simulation that's been broken.
My man!
Very quickly, Wanda's pregnancy continues to advance at an accelerated rate. She begins losing control of her powers, which causes disruptions around her. The lights flicker, the appliances turn on and off by themselves, and other strange things happen inside the house and around the neighborhood. All of this is just more sitcom nonsense, but then we get something that's actually interesting about the story. Vision now seems to be fully aware that something is very wrong, and as he begins telling this to Wanda, she has a very concerned look on her face, as if she doesn't want the illusion to be destroyed. At the end of the second episode, there was a rewind effect that Wanda did in order to change things to make herself happy. And in this episode, instead of that rewind effect, there's more of a spliced jump cut, as if they just went back 30 seconds in time.
It never happened.
No way. It never happened.
On this second go-round, instead of Vision expressing his concern about something being wrong, he does the exact opposite and assures Wanda that everything is going to be okay. Clearly, this is Wanda or some other force resetting this part of reality to be more in line with what Wanda desires. Suddenly, Wanda claims that her water has broken, and it begins to rain inside the house. It cuts to a fake commercial for a fancy type of soap that's called Hydra Soak. These types of fake commercials have been happening in the first two episodes as well, and they appear to be tied to Wanda's subconscious.
Well, Freud was right.
Back in the real show, Vision leaves to go get the doctor, and then we get several agonizing minutes of Geraldine. This is more sitcom nonsense where Wanda is trying to hide the fact that she's pregnant for some reason. Wanda wears a coat or holds a bowl of fruit in front of her to hide her belly, and then a stork magically appears, and Wanda tries to shoo it away without Geraldine noticing. All the while, we have to endure some stupid story that Geraldine is trying to tell. But suddenly, Wanda begins giving birth, and Geraldine has to help. As you would guess, it's a lot smoother and easier than normal since, 1, it's a TV show, and 2, this is a kind of pocket fake reality. The baby even comes out wearing clothes and wrapped in a blanket.
It's very convenient.
Very convenient.
Vision and the doctor arrive, but it seems like everything is already done until they realize that Wanda is actually pregnant with twins and gives birth to another child.
Now there are 2 of them.
Vision walks the doctor outside to say thank you and farewell, and the doctor remarks that he was supposed to go on vacation, but that he just doesn't seem to be able to leave the town, and then confused, he wanders off. Vision notices that his neighbor is still standing by the wall with the hedge clipper for some reason, and the annoying lady is there as well. She starts talking to Vision about Geraldine, that Geraldine doesn't actually own a house or even live in the neighborhood, she just kind of showed up one day. The neighbor wants to explain more, but the annoying lady seems to have some sort of power or influence over him and gets him to stop talking. In the background, it's also very obviously fake, with large painted backdrops. The annoying lady seems to imply that Vision should be concerned about Geraldine being alone with Wanda. Inside the house, Wanda tells Geraldine that she was also a twin, and Geraldine mentions that her brother was killed by Ultron, something that Geraldine obviously should not know. Wanda then notices the necklace that Geraldine is wearing. It's the symbol of SWORD, an organization that specializes in dealing with threats from space and other realities. It's a counterpart to the SHIELD organization that deals with more Earth-based threats. Wanda gets angry and confronts Geraldine about all of this, but Geraldine refuses to answer any of the questions. Vision, concerned that something might be happening, rushes inside the house, only to find Wanda watching over their children with Geraldine nowhere to be found. Wanda says that she had to leave suddenly. The scene then moves over to what appears to be the real world, in a town called Westview. A tear in space begins to open, and Geraldine is thrown through it. Military vehicles and helicopters arrive on the scene, and in the background we can see what appears to be flickers in space where reality is being altered. Finally, we are starting to get an actual story. It was pretty obvious, even from just the trailers, that this was the sort of thing that they were building up to. We know that Wanda has at least some control over what happens inside this pocket reality, but she may or may not have been the one that created it. The annoying neighbor also seems to be aware or has some influence on what's going on inside. The character of Geraldine is actually Monica Rambeau, a character that was introduced as a much younger version in the movie Captain Marvel, but now, since we've moved forward in time a bit, Monica Rambeau seems to be working as an agent of SWORD. The situation with Vision is far more mysterious, as he does seem to be able to become aware of the strangeness of everything going on, but at the same time, he's also under the complete control of Wanda, not to mention the fact that he did kind of die in Endgame. It's not quite clear whether or not Vision was repaired, or if this is simply a creation of the pocket reality. So while there are definitely still some issues with the show, it is slowly getting better. They still need to remove the laugh tracks and reduce the sitcom nonsense to an absolute minimum. It would also be nice if they had gotten a better actress for Geraldine and Monica Rambeau, and while the first two have a good chance of happening, I hope, the third, unfortunately, we're stuck with. At this point, I wouldn't say the show is terrible, but at the same time, I wouldn't recommend watching it either. It's just too slow for right now. We'll have to see where it goes from here. But that's the end of episode 3.